Hey boys and girls, Ron Bass with another edition of Soar High Personal Development, your source for inspiration,
Soar High PD,
encouragement, pop culture, Ron's mixed bag. I think that's what we're calling it. Davin Hunley, our producer.
That's me. Hello.
Hello, hello. Also our producer at Soar High Records.
Soar High Entertainment.
Our entertainment company. SoarHighEntertainment.com.
Soar High Records on
Soar High Records.
all streaming platforms. We'll do the ad at the beginning this time.
I like it. Aha. So, all kinds of stuff going on this week. I thought maybe our main topic tonight's going to be about, do you want to live forever? I know we touched on this recently.
Yeah, last week, yeah.
So the whole anti-aging industry is going crazy.
Okay.
Because you've got people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Microsoft people putting in a lot of money into that world, the pharmaceutical world. And it's not just pharmaceuticals, it's biologic, what are they?
Biological.
Bio, whatever they call it.
Biological, probably feedback.
Because they're working on the cell.
Okay.
The idea is that they can take the cell and somehow manipulate it in such a way or eliminate whatever it is that causes aging.
Okay.
And by doing that, they can reverse aging. So they say they've already done it in mice, which is pretty crazy. So they've taken old mice and turned them into young mice. They claim, I know I talked about this on a recent podcast, that by 2030, which is only 7 years, you'll be able to actually buy the prescription that will do this.
Interesting.
So we're not talking about like science fiction anymore. I've been studying this for years and years, and now they're getting to where there's so much money being invested, so much research, so much momentum, that this is where they really think it's going. That sounds crazy. I know it sounds like science fiction.
It does.
But let's just say it's right. Let's say it's true. Let's say it's going to happen. First of all, who can afford it? Because God knows what it's going to cost, right, for the prescription.
Right.
We talked about the pill that you can take now to lose weight. That's like $1,000 a month, a prescription.
A month?
A month, yeah. So not that many people can afford it, but that pill is supposed to allow you to shred the weight where you don't have to work out or anything, which is sad to me, but regardless.
Right.
So what's this pill going to cost?
A lot. That's what we were talking about last time about like the cure for cancer, like maybe they have it, maybe they don't, but even if they do, it would be very expensive.
I think the same thing is going to apply to the cancer thing, because whatever this is, if you can reverse the aging, theoretically you can improve the odds of not getting certain cancers, because aging brings on so many different problems.
Right.
As you know, I talk about, I study it all the time, being that I'm the old guy. And so that's a whole other topic we could get into, like all the prostate problems, the lung and heart problems, over 60, over 70, and how all that begins to play in, and the joint problems, the arthritis problems.
Your brain.
The brain slows down. You don't think as well. You're not as sharp. You forget things. And then eventually, potentially dementia, Alzheimer's.
Right.
But they also think now they have some new medication for Alzheimer's that I think they've got something out now where they can understand it. They may be able to predict it more likely that you're going to get it or not get it. And there's some medications that may cause it to slow way down. So we're on the cusp of that as well. So there's a lot of cool things going on in the medical world.
Right.
What's interesting to me is it driven by money? Probably.
Yes.
Or is it driven by the need, the hope for a better humanity?
Well, the thing is, like you said,
it would be nice to think that it's just because we want to help people, but it's about money.
But exactly. Like you said, well, what normal person can go off the street and pay for that prescription?
Cannot.
You and I couldn't afford that.
It's just too much money.
Exactly. So are they here for the betterment of humanity?
Well, let's be optimistic and hope that maybe somewhere down the line that's the case. But maybe the government gets involved and says, "Hey, it's all free."
Maybe, hopefully.
Who knows, right?
That'd be interesting.
So back to the idea. Okay, do you want to live forever? Do you want to live forever? Let's say they can do it.
Okay.
That's going to open up a whole Pandora's box. Is that the right term?
Yeah.
How does that all work?
Like we talked about last time, it's like, are you going to take advantage of living forever, or are you going to do something productive with yourself?
Or not do something productive.
Correct.
In other words, you're going to take advantage and be more productive because you've got a second life or a third lifetime, or you're just going to be frivolous and abuse yourself and think, well, it doesn't matter, I'll take another pill and I'll go back to being young again.
Exactly. And then how
does that work?
What if you stop the pills too?
Ooh.
Do you age faster?
Ooh, that's a good question.
There's a
like
lot.
You're 20 years old and all of a sudden you look like you're 80 real quick.
Yeah, because you stop taking the pill.
Yeah. Or do you continue to age naturally? Now that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, think about that. Like we don't know anything.
And if you don't have the money, please give me that. I want the pill. I got that.
We can't help you.
Can't help you. Sorry.
Can't help you.
I'm dying.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Before you walk out of the store, you're already old.
You're already old. That's crazy.
Think about that.
Think about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just think of like little loopholes like that. What if?
What if? So I think to myself, is this really a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's probably a better thing than a bad thing, but I can see a lot of problems.
I can see a lot of problems as well. It's the same. Think of it like flying cars. Okay, there are cool things about flying cars. There's no traffic.
The Jetsons, remember?
Yeah, the
cartoons.
Jetsons. Yep, and.
Somebody said Uber's going to have a flying car, like a flying flying taxi.
Whoa, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
I think they have flying cars now. Like they can fly or they can drive.
There's a flying motorcycle that like hovers and it can go forward and backwards and side to side.
Fair enough.
But it's just think about it. Like there are good.
How practical is this?
Not very. Like I'm trying to say is like there's good things that can happen, but there's a lot of bad things that could happen. It's the same thing with autonomous cars.
Yeah, like
there's good things that could happen, but they could crash on their own. They could blow up.
I mean, would you be comfortable letting the car drive for you? And why would you want to?
So
how does that work? I know Tesla's like a leader in that, but
it's. I don't know anything about autonomous cars. My car has a kind of drive itself mode, but it
does.
Yes, but you have to touch the wheel. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so it keeps you in the lane. It doesn't turn for you or anything.
It does some things for you.
Yes, some things.
But are some of these cars like they
will drive for you.
Literally.
There's some that don't come with a steering wheel.
Oh, that's
you just
crazy.
Push the button and
I can't really quite imagine that. How does that work? Cameras. I think I read an article.
Cameras, GPS.
Tesla's like way ahead of this curve.
There's like 12 or 13 cameras on a Tesla.
But there's problems. I read like accidents. Who pays for that mess? Who pays for the person that loses their life?
Exactly.
And what happens to that person? They're not coming back.
There was a Tesla that malfunctioned. They pulled off on the side of the road and it just started going. They put it in park and everything, and it just said nope, and it just kept going.
So I suspect this is like not the average, but if it does happen to you, then oh well, so bad, too sad.
I guess
I wouldn't want to trust it.
No, I wouldn't. There's people that fall asleep.
There's a lot of people I wouldn't trust to drive my car, let alone a computer.
No.
I will say this though about Tesla. I did get into one recently. A friend of mine who's a gazillionaire, and it was kind of cool because it was. It was all computer, and it's computerized,
like
right?
A spaceship.
It's cool though.
Yeah,
I get it. I get why Musk has got such a popular company, but I guess other companies are kind of coming up to that speed now, and they're developing their own computerized cars. And
the other thing is that
he's ahead of the curve.
Something that a lot of people don't realize is that it takes more energy to produce one of the lithium ion batteries than it does owning a Tesla for a year. So that's like the argument against.
Well, I think batteries are getting they're getting to where they understand them better. There's better batteries now. They last longer. They don't cost as much. I think all that's going to kind of get better and better.
True. So they have to excavate.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Obtain the lithium that they need for the battery. So you use a huge bulldozer, and it's going to use a lot of like fossil fuel.
Well,
just to
I think it's more. I think the more criticism is that they're using people in these foreign countries and not paying them enough, and they're like abusing them, and But look at Apple with China making
Nike.
phones and Nike, and they're using cheap labor and bad work conditions and yada yada yada. So
25 cents a day.
Yin and yang. I don't know.
Two wrongs don't make a right. Unless there's two evils.
I think you can always find fault in anything if you really want to pick at something long enough. But at any rate, I just kind of wanted to run through this a little bit and then get into some pop culture stuff and some Ron's rants and. I think stay tuned. I think this is going to get more interesting.
Right.
In my opinion. Any closing thoughts on that particular subject, Mr. Davin?
No, I mean, I like my car. I wouldn't let it drive for me, though.
There you go, man.
I'm still on that.
So here's some stuff that I want to kind of rant about a little bit. We always talk about, I often talk about bottles, opening them up and they spill and all that stuff. So it's like the other day I was driving somewhere and I opened up just a bottle of water. I don't know why they have to fill everything to the top. I mean I know I've talked about this before, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. They have to know that when people hold a bottle, they're not just like You got to hold it, and when you hold it, you're squeezing it, and the water's going to go everywhere. Not everywhere, but it's going to come out.
Right.
I just don't understand the engineering logic behind that. And these are big companies like Coca-Cola. They own
almost everything that has to do with a drink.
Anything has to do with liquid, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, and Barks, my favorite root beer, but it's even worse
Barks,
than that.
sponsor us. Barks, sponsor us.
I have to watch every time I open up a Barks bottle,
so it doesn't fizz. And
yeah, you have to like pay attention. So what if you're busy and you're not paying attention? You know what happens? When it happened to me, all over my tie, all over my pants.
Man.
I mean, I'm just saying it's not like the end of the world, but
no, but
I mean, really,
it's inconvenience. It's an inconvenience.
And that's a Coca-Cola product, by the way.
It is. It is.
Coca-Cola. I want to hear from you guys. Explain this to me, please.
Barks sponsor us. Barks sponsor us.
Yeah, that'd be nice to have
Barks sponsor us. We'll have the case of Barks just like right here, middle of the table.
Okay, now I'm going to round about Facebook. I think I've done this before. Here we go. Recently, there was a period of time where we got behind on our bill, and they wouldn't run our ads, and so then we got caught up, and then all of a sudden I get this message, even recently, oh yeah, you owe us $200 and change, and we can't. Your payment wasn't accepted. What do you mean my payment? So I looked. It's the debit card I've always used, and I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried. It would not take the payment. So I took a pause and I finally got back into the phone and I went, listen, man, I've never seen so many directions that you have to follow. It's insane to me how Meta, which owns Facebook, right? That's their parent company now.
Right.
The Metaverse, Meta Universe, that's the thing that Zuckerberg came up with that kind of hasn't done so well. Okay, so, but now it's Meta. So Meta this, Meta that. And I'm going through all these different instructions in this.
Right.
I mean, it's just bizarre. All I'm thinking to myself is, look, man, all I want to do is pay my effing bill. Mm-hmm. How hard are you? Why are you making it so hard for me to pay my bill? I do not understand this line of thinking, Facebook. People should be comfortable to pay their bill. People should you should be satisfied, happy people want to pay their bill. So I finally had to go in there and use a different debit card in order to finally get it to take payment, which makes zero sense to me because the debit card they wouldn't accept had funds in it to cover the $200 and change. I don't get it.
I don't either.
If my customers want to pay me for our America Same Day Service, which is our home parent company, home repair services, I'm happy to take their card. I'm happy to call them up. There's a problem. Call them up. You know, remember those days when everything was personalized? Call them up and say, hey, I have a problem with the card, but I don't know why you have a problem with the card, sir. Well, I do. It won't take it. It's saying that this card isn't conducive to this kind of purchase. Oh, I know what it is, sir. I have to call them to tell them because there was a problem with my card the other day, and now I have to. Okay, well, that's cool. No problem. I'm not upset. I just want to let you know. So, thank you so much. Personalization. How about that? Talking to people.
Right.
Instead of having to. I mean, it's just terrible. You can't even talk to anybody anymore. It's bizarre.
It's all computerized.
Come on, man. Give me a break, please.
Trust me, I understand.
I know that sounds old school, but really, how about getting back to... Do you realize that probably half of my company's business is repeat referral? You know why? Because we talk to every customer every single day about every single job we do.
Exactly.
We thank them. We hit things head on. If there's a problem, we either refund their money, go back and do the work again, make it right somehow.
Right.
And if we're behind on funds, at least we send them at least something on account until we get it caught up. It's not rocket science.
It's called good customer service.
Thank you. And they appreciate the call. It's old school, but you know what? It's very respectful to the client.
If it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Exactly.
Okay, what else do I want to rant about? Well, how about this? How are we doing on time, by the way?
It's 15.
Okay, well, we got about 5 minutes to go here. We're going to get out of here.
We
don't want to bore you any more than we already have. By the way, speaking of that, only about 1% of our listeners actually listen to the whole podcast.
Why is that, Ronnie?
I find that interesting.
Why is that?
I think it's a couple things. One, they may not like the content.
Okay.
Number two, it might be because they're always in a hurry, always busy, always on the run, and their attention span is about as big as some people's, you know what, not very big. I'm just talking out loud.
But then the people that stay for the...
I love those people.
Yeah, they're listening to us right now. That are on there
listening to the whole podcast.
They're listening to us right now.
I love it, man.
Right now.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
So Stripe, which is my credit card processor.
Okay, yeah.
I just got out of credit card jail.
Credit card jail.
Credit card processing jail.
So Monopoly, all right.
Yeah. So here's the deal. They suddenly, after 20 years or so I've been working with them, said, I'm a high-risk account. So they're going to keep 50% of all of our purchases,
right,
and they're going to hold it in reserve for 30 days. So that means that for 30 days, every credit card that I ran through my company, which is pretty substantial, they held, which means the other 50% I had to use for payment for parts, goods, and services, which is about what it takes and even more usually. So
right.
you get the idea of the cash flow dilemma that I had for a month. Well, I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're going to release these funds on a certain date, 30 days. And they did. But then I say to myself, and now everything's back to normal. So I'm asking myself, what the hell was the point of it? I mean, if we're a high risk before the 30 days, we're still going to be a high, and during the 30 days, we're obviously still going to be a high risk for the next 30 days, next 30 years.
Right.
So what's the point of only doing that for 30 days and releasing the money?
Just to show you that they've got the power.
I don't think that's the reason.
Okay. What do you
I don't think there is here's what I think.
Okay.
I think that it doesn't make any sense. I think that whoever's come up with these policies needs to rethink their thinking, because if you're going to do it, you probably need to do it permanently, or the better solution would be to build up to a certain level and then they just keep that amount always for the next however long you're in business.
Right.
Say $10,000. If you're running, say, $2,000 a day credit card, just hold the money. It doesn't make any sense to me. All it does is burden the company.
Right.
Creates a lot of hardship, which we obviously overcoming, but it just makes zero sense to me.
I agree.
So for all you business people out there that are listening, and accounting and banking people, I'm curious of your thoughts on this matter. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm not saying we didn't deserve it. I'm not saying I'm not complaining about it. I just don't understand the thinking behind it.
Right.
I mean, I get part of the thinking, but not the whole picture. Do you have anything to say about that?
It's hard because, oh man, I understand more on being on the other side of it. Like the banking part, I don't understand at all. Banks have always been weird. You and I know that I've even had personal banking problems.
Yes.
Where they don't deposit something for a couple of days and they say that they're going to blah, blah, blah.
And we've talked about that.
But like you said, it creates a hardship for the business. And that's your business in the sense of they're bringing you money. Your business is bringing money to the bank. And yet the bank still wants to say, no, we don't want your business for the next 30 days. It's why? Why would you do that? That doesn't make me feel good as a customer. No,
not at all. I guess they feel like they don't need you as a customer. If you want to, and if you want to leave, you can leave. But that's bad business to me.
I agree.
At any rate, I'm happy to have a credit card processor, but I just don't get the entire logic. I get some of it, but I don't get most of it. Okay. Speaking of money, banks, car loans, which I know you and I talk about a lot. My friend Tony and I talk about car loans a lot. He used to drive a $100,000 car. I said, Tony, take that money and build a house, buy a house, build another company. To me, a car is four wheels and an engine and transmission. If it's safe, drive it. Yeah. But I get it. I get people want to have nice. It's like back in the day, people had horses and they had to be nice. That's a beautiful horse.
Right.
So I get it.
Right.
But on the other hand, here's this number that's interesting. There's something like 70% of all people with car loans are struggling to pay their loans. So what does that mean? I mean, come on, man. I'm just talking out loud here. And then I read another article that said over 70% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. So, I'm not preaching saying you shouldn't have a nice car and you shouldn't take vacation and all that. But on the other hand, you have to keep some money on hand to operate.
Yes.
Whether it's to pay for your bills, whether it's to, pay back your loans. You can't just go check to check to check to check to check. You got to have a little bit of room in there.
Yes, and you got to live within your means.
So that's kind of confirmation to go for what I've said all along about big, expensive car. Everybody has a car loan. I don't have a car loan because I'm not going to go down that road. I'll just settle for something that's not as fancy, and I'll take the money that I would do for that. I'll put it into business.
Exactly.
To build another company, to build a bigger company that I've already started, to fund our investments. That's where my head's at. But I get it. I'm not trying to be like an old fuddy-duddy, but on the other hand, it's just how I look at it.
Well, because there's also people like me that have a nicer car and will still put money into the business and into ourselves.
Good point. I'm just kind of obsessive like that. But that's just me.
No, it's just there are, like you said, there are some people that are struggling to live. Most, but yet they choose to have something nice that's a monthly payment. Blah blah blah.
Just to move things along. Planters, my favorite peanut company for years.
Get stuck in the jar.
But even Planters now has gone by the wayside because these peanuts that used to be big and really delicious are now a little bitty, and the prices have gone way up. I don't get it. It's sad. Fritos the other night, I bought Fritos. I couldn't wait to get some Fritos driving back from Arkansas. All I wanted was a Frito from Fritos and a Coke. And I pull into a Come and Go, and the Fritos were like, it was like eating air. They're so thin. There's no substance to them anymore. And the price has gone double. So I'm thinking, really, you can't even get a good Frito anymore. What's up with that? But it's the same thing. Prices have gone up. Quality's gone down.
Yep.
Not in my company. No way, Jose. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with the basics, the traditional way of operating. Give people a value, whether it's music, whether it's home repairs, same thing. Value. People appreciate value.
Exactly.
Okay, so I got more stuff, but I'm going to wrap it up with one last thing. We'll get out of here.
Okay.
So recently, very tragic story. The guy that started Cash App was murdered in San Francisco.
I heard about that.
Terrible story. Terrible scenario. Here's what they said originally. 2:30 in the morning, walking the streets of San Francisco, was robbed, stabbed, tried to get some help. Nobody helped him. He died. Well, now the rest of the story comes out. This is even more is equally as disturbing.
Okay.
Turns out that the guy was sleeping with a married woman who was married to a very prominent plastic surgeon. The brother of the woman that he was sleeping with was not happy and wanted to avenge these circumstances, also suggesting that perhaps he was feeding her drugs, made him more irate, got into a big argument for a couple of hours, stabbed him to death. Now, here's the rest of the story. That young man in his 40s was a gazillionaire, brilliant guy, gone. The man that killed him goes to prison. Gone. And what happens to the woman? Nothing. Adam and Eve. Just saying, I'm not being a hater, but in the end, guys, you've got to really think about, and I'm not saying I'm, an angel. I've done plenty of wrong things in my life, but going forward, you got to think about stuff like this, man. Is it worth it?
Is it?
Your life, your future, your health. You can't put yourself in these kinds of positions and expect to get out of them scot-free. You're not going to.
That's the question.
In my opinion.
That's the question you need to ask yourself all the time is it worth it?
Is it worth it, man?
Is it worth
so
it?
I'm going to kind of close out with that thought on a kind of a somber thought, but it really bothers me.
Right.
It's horrible.
No, it is.
And it probably happens a lot more than we realize. And maybe not to that degree, but it may be in smaller levels or lower levels of maybe somebody doesn't get killed, maybe they get hurt, maybe they go to prison, maybe they lose their mind. All over a relationship issue, and it just doesn't need to be like that. Anyway, more stuff for next week. I didn't get to cover everything, but closing thoughts, sir?
Nope.
No?
Actually, I do. Okay, so remember the thing that I was talking to you about, how the government wants to make all electronic funds?
Yes.
Remember how I was talking about that last week? Okay, so the day after the man that owned Cash App or invented Cash App was killed.
Yes.
R.I.P. Murdered.
By the way, stabbed him in the heart.
Man, that's crazy.
That's even more hateful than just killing. That's like...
There's a reason why. Yeah, there's a reason why. So, the day after that, the IRS, or someone who was close to the IRS has connections with them, bought Cash App.
For real?
Purchased it.
Now that makes you wonder.
Interesting, huh?
Very interesting.
Interesting, huh? The day after. The morning after.
That's crazy.
Just saying. I don't know. I'm a conspiracy theorist.
I know.
I'll listen to them. I'm just like, I don't know. That's coincidental. We don't know. We don't know.
And that's the rest of the story.
Exactly. We'll see how it pans out. we'll see how it pans out.
Well, guys, appreciate you listening to us. And the same thing I like to say every time to close it out is if you don't give up, the stars, they're always going to line up. So the moral of the story is don't ever give up. So until next time, hang in there. Stay positive.